Okay, so you've made it. We have one more, and then you are free from my endless talking for the time being. So today we're going to be covering the final class. We're going to basically do a big overall review, which now that I think about it, I don't know why I set up here because the last hour is actually going to be the shadowing session. But I'm going to walk through like beginning to end
Okay.
the primary cliff notes of everything we covered. The things you're most commonly going to see when working on yourself and other people to kind of bring you guys back to like what's tangible, what's it actually look like? Because we've bombarded you now with all this information. Those videos will stay up. You can watch them as much as you want. I'll be posting the updated shamanic workbook probably after the holiday, actually, because I need to clean it up instead of rush through it because there's a few things about the soul retrieval I was adding, and I was like, I need to make this like more receptive for you guys. Because you'll have the video to watch, so I'm making it really simple. Does that make sense? I'm going to simplify the description of it and just the process of it on there instead of going through everything that I already went through via video. So this way you get the basic gist of it and how to apply it. Okay. Um, so today we're gonna walk through everything, and you guys get the benefit of seeing an actual Reiki table this time because I have a new table downstairs. And so I'll show you how to set that up, how to cleanse a space, literally like what to do beginning to end of a session. Okay. We'll go through how to pretty much all the things. If you guys want to do hands-on practice, we can. I will be transparent. The vibe I get from this group is I want to soak up the information, I want to hermit a little bit and practice on my own. So if you don't want to do hands-on practice, that's fine. If you do want to do hands-on practice, let a girl know. We could set aside some time to do that. Okay. If you want to opt out of hands-on practice, that's fine too. But the more you do practice, whether it be on myself or somebody else or even yourself, the better. Okay. Um,
Do we take all this and go from where we are today, where we've kind of like done a couple practice sessions on other people, to actually doing this regularly on other people? Like, I feel like it's a big leap.
And that's like, I think that right there is your tell-all, right? So the smaller and smaller that leap feels to you, the more and more confident you're going to be doing it as a career. Like I know for me, when I started doing Reiki healing, I had been doing tarot for a few years and I had already been certified in Reiki, but I wasn't doing it on people because I want to practice and I'm a perfectionist. And so, but when I started, it was actually like right before COVID hit and I was in an apartment, so I couldn't have people in person anyway. And I was on the third flight, so it was like liability and all that stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to do distance. I did a few distance sessions and I only did like one a week. And that was me just kind of like dipping my toes in it. So maybe if you get to a place where you're like, okay, I've practiced on friends, I've practiced on family, I feel like I'm really sensing things. I want to start doing this as a source of income. I would recommend starting with one every 2 to 3 days, and you might want to write this down. I'd start off doing one every 2 to 3 days. And if you want to do multiple ones in a day, start off with two a day. You might be like, Psh, Jordan, like, nah, like I could do more than two. I promise you, do two full sessions. And you will see by the third one, you're going to feel a little gassed, right? Because your consciousness is not used to being at this higher state for that length of time, for 3 hours out of your day, like intentionally and very consciously shifting to this higher state. So, for instance, like when I started my practice, I limited myself to 2 Reiki sessions a day, and the rest were tarot readings or mentoring or students. And now I take up to 6 healing sessions a day. But I'm 7 years into my practice, right? When I heard my teacher say that she takes 6 to 8 people a day, I was like, you're insane, right? Why would you want to do that? And as I practiced for years and years, the amount, like my muscles got stronger. So they had more, like, what's the word? They were more like sustainable. Um, and so when it comes to your time to practice, I think that's very dependent on your individual journey, on how confident you feel, on And the only way you're going to find out is if you just take the leap and do it, quite frankly, right? Like, I will never forget my first session. I was like nervous. It was with a young woman who was younger than me. She was in the UK, and I was sitting there with like the script of the meditation I had from my teacher. And I was like, okay, take a deep breath in and release. And I was like walking her through this 15-minute meditation and realized, like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to read this long of a meditation. And that's what led me to figuring out my form was just like a very simple body scan. And so play with the information I've provided, see what works for you. Because the more you play with it, the more you're going to figure out what works for you as a practitioner. Some practitioners don't do a freaking meditation. They're just like, take a breath, lay down, go to sleep. Let's do the dang thing. And that's totally fine. It, play with it. Play with like friends, family, find family members. Like for instance, like over the holiday, I'm going to be doing healings on family members, like people that are acquaintances to me, right? And so you could do that. Like practice on people that are like acquaintances or like distant relatives. So it's somebody you don't have that emotional tie to, because at this point in your journey, that's going to be the closest you get to a real client. You don't know much about them. And if you do, it's through somebody else's lens, right? Explore working on other people's energy. Work on multiple people. You'll see how every session is different. Every single session is different. Um, but if it feels like a big leap, then let it be a big leap for now. And then over time, it will just feel like a step. And I'll be like, okay, I'm ready to take the step. And it doesn't feel like a leap. It just feels like a step, right? It's kind of like when we decide to get a new job somewhere else, right? Do I really want to leave my current job? It's all the same thing, it's just in a different form. Um, I think the biggest tell-all to know that you're ready to work on other people is that your nervousness is accompanied with a bit of excitement. If your nervousness is accompanied with a bit of doubt or fear, I would recommend spending some time working on how you feel in your sessions and if your mind really stays focused, right? And I would really recommend reflecting after your sessions. What percentage, if I had to guess, of that session was I really present? Did my mind not wander, right? Doing things like that gives you a really good awareness of, okay, this is something I got to work on. This is something I got to strengthen. So if you're doing a 30-minute session and for the whole 30 minutes, you're like, okay, my mind didn't wander. I was like in there like swimwear, done. Perfect. That's great. Move it to a 45-minute session. See if you could do the same thing. Then move it to a 60-minute session and see if you feel the same. I'll be honest, do I think 60-minute sessions are like good? I do 60-minute sessions because about 45 minutes of it is your actual healing, right? We have the intro where we talk a little bit. At the end, I debrief and I give them some time to sit up and acclimate and come back to their body. So figure out how you want to distribute your time. Like how much of a 30-minute session are you actually doing a healing? Probably 20, 25 minutes. How much of a 45-minute session? Probably 35, 40 minutes, right? And so sit down and like map things like that out for yourself, because the more you do that, you'll see like where your like energetic muscles are, right? Like how strong and how much you can sustain it. And you'll know when it's time. You will know. I promise. It will just be like, okay, nudge. Like you're going to know, you'll take the leap and it will feel like a great, exciting leap. It might be a little scary, but like that scary will be attached with some excitement about it too. Like I know it's meant for me. Does that make sense? Okay. Great question though, because I definitely remember feeling that way. Like if you asked me a decade ago if this would be the work I would be doing, no. No way in HE double hockey sticks. No way. Mm-mm. Wouldn't happen. Not at all. Not at all. And so, like, you'll know when it's your time and you'll be called to it in a way that is like so unique and special to you, and just dive into that. And the biggest advice, don't compare yourself to any other practitioner. I did it the first few years, like looking at other practitioners that I'd study under, looked at other practitioners that were posting videos and like their lens of things, like even myself, like screw Jordan's path, screw any other practitioner's path, like your path is your path. Like the difficulties you encounter on it are going to be unique to you. Somebody else might be able to relate to it, but their lens is always going to be different from yours because your lens is relative to your life experience. So give yourself the grace of knowing like all the paths are going to be different, even if the destination ends up being the same. Okay, cool. Because when you start comparing, that's when ego gets in the way and it will take all the joy and like the sacredness out of your work too. Like, oh, I should be feeling more by now. They feel this, or I should be seeing this, or I should sense that. And it's like, no, like the experience you're having is exactly what you're meant to have. So definitely nix that. Like anytime you start to have that little voice of doubt, be like, no, this is playing out exactly as I need in this session. I even have days like that. I have days where I'm like, I'm really not feeling much. I'm really not feeling much. And you know what that turns out to be? 30 minutes in, I'm like, oh, I wasn't feeling much because they weren't feeling much. And I forget all the time that I feel everything that my client feels. So I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, I'm not feeling anything. I know it's working. My fingers are kind of tingly. And then like the 30-minute mark hits and I see them start snoring. And I'm like, this whole time I thought it was me. I was just feeling everything they were feeling because you're connected. And so it's get the ego out of there, get the thinking mind out of there, and lean into the fact that your intention is the only tool you really need. Okay. Biggest advice I could give, because it was a battle for myself for a very long time, especially with like a history of like immense gaslighting. That self-trust and overcoming that self-doubt was very challenging. Um, and then you get what I call the spiritual buckets. You're like, I know I'm doing this. Whatever. This is fabulous. Um, okay. So any questions about anything we've covered so far before I go through setting up an actual session? Because you'll have time when I go down there to ask your questions as well. Is there any topic you want to dive a little bit more into? Anybody? Wow. Okay. Let's go downstairs. Let's migrate then. Is it a sleepy day for most of you? You're like, oh, my brain has had enough of this. I'm ready to check out. I get you. You might get out a little early today, so don't worry. Don't worry. My mother's planning on coming around 1. And so I'm going to try to do a 45-minute session on her. If we get done early, I might ask one of you to be the guinea pig and tell her to kind of like just forget it, because you can watch the recording and watch me go through it yourselves. Or I can just act like there's an imaginary person, because I know a lot of you might want to get out early. So if that happens, it happens. Let me know your thoughts. But let's go migrate. Oh, you. And turn my camera off because there's a huge mountain of laundry in my hallway that I don't need anybody to see. Okay. I need my tea. Oh my goodness. Oh Jesus, please don't let me drop any of this. Okay. Let us see. Let us see. Where do I want to put y'all? Almost made it. Almost made it without dropping something. We were close. Okay. Let's turn this bad boy back on. My brightness back up. Beautiful. To put this away really quick. Okay. Let's. How did I do this last time? Did I have you guys on the chair? Did I have you on the counter? Aha. Beautiful. Okay. Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. This is, so the first table I showed you guys is about a $200 table. Do you remember that table? It had the side handles that we put in, it had the face plate down here. That is a great beginner table. Showing you this table to show you quality, price difference, all the things. Okay. Get my mountain of goodies off of this bad boy. So these are your standard massage table sheets. You'll see they actually fit this table, which is fabulous. There's some tables that are extra wide tables. And so even though the sheet looks like it's baggy a little bit, it's because it's meant for an extra wide. My table is, I think, 32 inches wide, which is it's close to a twin bed almost, right? And so this table does not have a faceplate in the middle. It has a face rest. Okay. You see how much wider it is than my other one though? That one was really skinny. So, but still very light. Like I can lift it with one hand. You don't have to be massively strong like myself to do that. I promise you it's light. Okay. Another good thing is that this headrest, this doesn't really apply to you, but if you, like myself, have multiple services that you offer, so for instance, for spinal flow, I needed a headrest that could tilt and also extend up and out for people with a longer neck base. So this literally extends from the table. It's still in my table, but I can also move it closer when this isn't caught, at least the armrest back in, and I can tilt it up and down. And so, for instance, if you have people with neck injuries and they can't have their neck crunched up, it's good to have one that adjusts. Usually they all do adjust. I like this cushion. All your cushions will be Velcro regardless of the table you get. This is a very like soft, cushiony memory foam. I know it looks floppy, but it is like your memory foam pillow. Okay, so big fan. And then you obviously have your arm cradle. You can extend this longer, especially if you got men with very big arm muscles. You're gonna want to extend it longer because they're gonna feel all like stuck up if you don't. Okay. So another thing is when we are deciding on a table, you want to make sure you have a table that is travel friendly. You never know when you're gonna be moving around. This comes with a travel bag. Most tables do. This did not come with a bolster though. Usually tables do. This table, just didn't. And I have this extra one. This isn't even the one that came with my other one. This is just an extra one that I bought because I was gonna sell that one, but there's no point now because I need 2 tables for spinal flow. But this table, for instance, is a $600 table versus a $200 table. This table, I don't need a memory foam topper. Like I'm pushing down and I still have not hit the frame of this table yet. It is an extremely thick and extremely comfortable memory foam. And like I cannot feel the baseboard of this table even when I'm pushing down as hard as I can. And when you lay on it, since your weight's distributed, they don't even sink that deep. It's a very soft foam on top, a denser foam underneath, so they're not sinking down. And this is where, whoop, sorry table, bolsters like this will come in handy, okay? Bolsters like this, I'll show you. Bolsters like this are great, making sure you can see. Ignore my treadmill I hide underneath my Reiki table. Okay, so if you have larger bolsters, the good thing, like, so for instance, I'm 5'9". Like, let's just give this, I'm 5'9", close to 5'10". And look, my feet don't even hang off. My foot's basically like 2-3 inches from the bottom, and I'm not even all the way up. Okay, so that's another reason why I really like it. But when you have your smaller bolsters, somebody's back is only going to be curved, like only supported this much, right? So for instance, it's like if I were to put my feet up this way and put this bolster, you want it right at the bottom of your knees and at the right above your knees and right below your knees. So the peak of your knee is sitting in the middle, because what that does is it tilts the pelvis forward and it naturally expands their spine. And so it's creating more vertebral space. And so people are more comfortable laying with this for an extended amount of time. And I will typically tell them, like, kick your foot to the, like, keep your thigh on it, point your foot to the sky, and then lower it. Because what that does is it extends the leg all the way down. I'll tell them to do the same thing with this one, because now their hips are level. And it's almost like their calves are anchored on the other side of the bolster. Because if they don't, it's just like hanging there and their hips might be like that. So I'll tell them, like, extend your leg, leave your thigh on it, lower it. Extend your leg, leave your thigh on it, lower it. And now my calves are stretched to the other side. So what I feel in my body is my lower spine, my lumbar spine literally pulling down, but my back is so flat and supported that even if I'm a little angled, I still have more vertebral space. So that energy flows a lot easier. Does that make sense? Cool. Now, if I were to have this bolster. Okay, that's a yoga bolster. That's a restorative yoga bolster. This isn't a massage bolster. They'll come with different covers and slips because people usually lay on them with sweaty bodies, not massage oil. Okay. If you want a bolster that has this kind of cover, you're probably just going to have to get, like, literally search large half moon bolster. And you'll see ones that are very big in their hump and some that are small. This is your standard half moon bolster. Difference is smush. Not much support there, right? This, if I even try to smush it, I have to use a lot of pressure to mush it down. Okay. So, for instance, I'm a small woman and I know that, right? My legs don't mush this, right? These kinds of bolsters are going to be great for people who are taller, more muscle, and have back issues. Ask them about their back issues though. Like if they struggle to lift their legs or if they have nerve damage, it'll probably be better with a bolster like this. Okay. I usually say I have two bolsters. I'm not a licensed health professional. We can play with both of them and you tell me which one's more comfortable. That's why I leave it at. They know their body more than you. You could think that this would be better for them, but it might not feel good in their body. You got to let them choose. I will show you what this one looks like and you will hopefully see the difference in my spine. So this one literally goes right underneath the knees. And you'll notice not much is different. I can still feel a dip in my back. Whereas the other one, because it was higher, it forces my back to be down. It forces my body to be flat. This is more comfortable for extended periods of time with somebody laying down. Okay? It's more supportive. It's taking all the tension off their lower back and their lumbar. So if you're gonna have them on a table in person, get a bolster. Okay. Cool. Questions on that? No, nothing. Okay. You'll notice that this table also does not have the arm attachments to it. Okay. I like this more personally. I think it looks more professional. I think it looks cleaner. Did I like my other table? Yeah, my other table will be great for spinal flow because it gives them something to push up on outside of their chest if they want to start moving and like waving on the table. And it has a faceplate in there. So, right, God's got a plan. All worked out. Ended up keeping the dang thing. So this does have adjustments for the height. The other difference is that this is solid wood. So it is a little heavier. It's not a little, it's actually a lot heavier than my other table. I think this table's like 45 pounds, maybe more. And the other one's probably like 30 something. This one you can tell is definitely a higher quality, even to the touch. Like you would look at this and think that this would rip if you were run your hand on it, but it's actually a really thin and flexible leather. So one, it's easier to clean and it stretches more than your like fake plastic tops that might have a tendency to break or to stain. Like I had a sheet on top of my other one like countless times and I have stains on it that I don't even know what it's from. I don't even know what it's from. And I think it's just from like the quality of the plastic not being as durable if people had like on makeup or something, because it's all where people would be face down. So things like that. I highly recommend if you're using your table, obviously for energy healing, always put a sheet on it. Always put a sheet on it. Like my people with spinal flow will be on a flat table and I have cleaner and sanitizers for that because they need something that they can grip onto if they start moving. Whereas a sheet, their hand might slip and you don't want that. So for different purposes, you treat and drape your table differently in regards to energy healing. Definitely always use a sheet. When I did Reiki, rarely use this. You'll see like I have the pillow. I use it just to support their head. That's it. I don't have anybody actually put their head in it because then you have to get all these face covers one. And this is an abnormally shaped face cover. You don't really see face covers like this. Most people with face covers like this, we go to Walmart, we get 3x9 thing of fabric and we cut squares and we just cut a slit in that square and you drape it over and you throw them in the washing machine. You see a lot of massage therapists do things like that. It's more cost effective. You get to switch out like 12 different face things a day, but that's if you have people laying face down. I've had a few people lay face down for healing sessions. They usually have nails or screws in their spine. So for different, I've even had people that have energy packs, like a battery pack implanted in the back of their body. And so they can't lay on their back. It's very uncomfortable for that long. So they lay on their side or they lay face down. So just be mindful of the kind of people you're working with. If you're not comfortable working with people face down, recommend a distance session to them. Okay, tell them like, hey, like I think for your comfort and just be mindful of your verbiage. Like your verbiage will sell it more than anything. Like never get into like the business talk of it, but like don't be like, I don't think I'd like for you to be here, like laying face down. It concerns me. There's a different way to say it. Hey, I think you get more out of your session if you were to stay home in your own bed, be able to position yourself in a way that's more comfortable for you because a Reiki table tends to be a little bit more stiff. It might not be comfortable for your back for an extended amount of time, right? It's kind of giving them the awareness, oh, this would probably be better for me versus like, I feel uncomfortable if you were here like this. Like, no. Put the ball in their court always. One, it shows them that you're considering them, but two, it also sets the tone of like your approach to the session, right? Because it's not about, quite frankly, like it's not about what you're comfortable with all the time. You also got to make sure they're comfortable, right? So it's two birds, one stone in that sense. Um, Now, do I recommend starting off with a table like this? Nope. Nope, I do not. And there's many reasons I don't. One, it's a big investment. Two, I think a lot of people are becoming more and more partial to distance healing. I think they're realizing that there's no need to have people in person. I only started in person because there was a real call for it after COVID. People were craving interaction, they were craving touch, they were craving community. So it's like, okay, I'll open my doors, right? And I literally did. As you guys know, I literally work out of my house. That's the other thing. Overhead is expensive, right? I've been offered places. I've been asked to join massage therapists in other places. Even if you this, at least in the US, your overhead can range anywhere from $1,000 to $4,000 to $5,000. Like if I wanted my own spot that was 1,200 square feet, at least here where I'm located, which I will say is a relatively wealthier area compared to other areas of North Carolina, it's usually around $4,000 a month, right? So like is it really worth that big chunk out of my income each month to go ahead and do that? Or can I just nix the overhead and keep doing what I'm doing? So a lot of things to consider. I get questions all the time if I've had issues with people coming into my home. I've not had issues with the people coming into my home. I've had issues with how people have my issues were more so with the individual, not with the fact that they were in my home. And that's only been with 3 people. And it was because they weren't respecting certain boundaries or were blatantly very disrespectful about my work because of their own religious beliefs. Right. And so I've only had that happen. The religious beliefs, I literally had a woman hand me a Bible one time. um, and try to like save me. She's like, you don't have a Bible. And I literally reached on the shelf behind myself and I was like, this is my Bible from my baptism. And she didn't have anything to say after that. And we no longer work together. I told her, you're not welcome to book with me any further. I wish you the best. Other than that, the only other issues I've had is when clients like would sit on my stoop. I tell them, don't sit on my porch talking on the phone before our session. Like, this is my home. Like, there's a boundary. Like, text me when you get here. So that's really the only issues I've had is people who want to sit and kind of like wait and hang out. And I'm a little anal about my space because I give so much of it. And that's the trade-off with your work is like, this is your home. Be very clear with your boundaries. Some people are going to think you're being excessive. Some people are going to respect it. And the ones who respect it are going to be the people that you continue working with, right? Like one of the two that sat on my porch is like still a great friend and a great client of mine. They drive all the way from Greensboro to see me. So it's like over an hour drive. I love them. They're great. And they didn't have an issue when I said, hey, in the future, please just remember to shoot me a text when you're here. I don't like when people sit on my porch, like the little bit of time I have to myself. I like to know that people are not in my home or around my home. It might sound silly, but that's just what I need to prepare for my next person, you know? And then the other one did not go well. Like full on tantrum, kicked her shoes into my wall when she came inside and crossed her arms and looked at me and said, you know, like, I'm just trying to respect your boundary. And it was just like, I was like, okay. And so that was our last session. I was like, I think it's best you find somebody else. And so don't let people cross your boundaries. Because sometimes you'll run into stuff like that. Like I had a woman just this last week who had our time wrong and she had her reminder sent to her on Sunday. And I texted her because our appointment was at 10 a.m. And she had said to me, no, our appointment's at 12. I'll still be there and I will get my session. And so I called her and I said, hey, I just figured I'd call you so this way none of our tones get misconstrued. But my calendar says we were at 10 a.m. I said, I'm going to log into my website and see what reminder it sent you yesterday for your 24-hour reminder. And she got very quiet. And she said, she goes, I got the reminder. And she goes, it says 10 a.m. And I said, okay, since it's at 10 a.m., I said, I have to consider this a no-show. Because it was an hour and a half later. It's 11:30 at this point. And she got really mad. She goes, well, can't you still take me? Like, isn't it technically your day off? Because it was a reschedule and I rescheduled on my day off. And I said, no, I can't do that. And I said, because just like you, I like when people respect my time. And sadly, like if you want to book again, you'll have to book again in the future. She goes, well, don't you have the time? I said, no, I have other things I need to get done. And I said, I'm sorry. I said, but that was our time. I'll see you for our next class. Because she's someone I will continue working with for the next 6, 7 months. She's a student. But a lot of people will take you reinforcing your boundaries as you being disrespectful or not considerate of them. And I had to have a very serious conversation with that person explaining like, hey, like, I know that you've invested a lot. You're still getting what you've invested in, but I still have to uphold my cancellation policy. I said, and that's the end of it. And that's it. Be very stern with it because I wish it's something I was more stern with early on. When I started my business, I was very like, oh, I feel for you. I see your side, and I was compromising myself. Okay. Don't do that because this reschedule was because the first time she showed up for her, it was a 6-hour hypnosis. She wasn't prepared. So I lost out on a whole day's worth of work, which is why I booked her on a day off so I wouldn't lose more work. So be very mindful of your cancellation policies and uphold them. People are going to get pissed off when you uphold them because they're going to think that you're doing work that's love and light and that you're going to be self-sacrificing. Very politely say like, hey, this is my policy. I really love working with you, but my policies have to be reinforced for everything to run smoothly. And that's the end of it. If I didn't have them, things would not run smoothly. I can't make exceptions to them. And that's it. If they complain, I understand your frustration. Yeah, I hear you. Are you gonna do anything about it? No, I have to reinforce my policy. But I hear you. I understand. Have a good day. Doesn't make you mean, doesn't make you cruel. It makes you somebody who understands that yes, this is sacred, beautiful work, but you are also a business owner. And those two things can coexist. I've had people have the audacity to say, well, you're doing God's work. Like, don't you think you should do it for free? Little do they know, I have pro bono sessions on my site that I book via pro bono when it's requested of me in a respectful way, right? It's none of your business, right? You get to volunteer, you get to do work for, think of all the friends, family, and then family's friends that you're going to end up doing work on just because they see a benefit from it and then they refer somebody else to it, right? You're going to be doing this work because it lights you up. Don't let anybody take that sacredness of it from you, though. That's the biggest thing. I've ended relationships because they've made me feel obligated to share my work as something that is like I should do it for them. You get to choose who you share your energy with. If somebody's making you feel obligated to do it or restricted in some way, it's probably not something you should share your energy with because that's the energy of control and attachment, which is a lower frequency. Other things in regards to business. So table's a big investment. I think getting a smaller table is a good thing to do at start if you're gonna do healing sessions in person because the smaller tables are easier for travel. A lot of people charge travel fees. I have a girlfriend in Florida who's a Reiki practitioner and she's a massage therapist. And so she works at a studio Monday through Friday, and on the weekends, she'll travel throughout Florida, like giving sessions to people in their own home, but she charges them for the gas and for the travel time. And then she charges them for the in-home setup and convenience of that. So you could do a lot of things in that way with Reiki as well. Do not gyp yourself with it because I did it with tarot. And so I would go and do parties of like 16 to 17 people. And I'll never forget this. I did a bachelorette party and she had double booked herself. She booked me and she booked their dinner on the same night. And so I showed up and nobody was there. And so I said to her, I said, hey, like, I am going to need you to pay for another day of this if you do want me to come back tomorrow. It's the same as my cancellation policy. You no showed. It's non-refundable. I spent an hour driving out. You will still have to pay for my hour time to drive back. And she wanted me to come again tomorrow and she paid all of it, the travel, the 2 hours there and back, as well as the time for me to come the next day. And so you really, I've never had an issue with it other than that one client this last week, but she apologized and it really wasn't an issue at the end of the day anyway. You know, they understood. So the more you uphold your boundaries, the more people are going to respect you. The more you're wishy-washy about it, the more they're going to hear that and try to take advantage of it and walk all over you. So grab yourself a pair of cojones, quite frankly. Okay. Okay. Maybe that's just the northern mentality though, too. Like I'm from up north in New Jersey and we tend to be sassy. So let me think. Any questions on anything I discussed? Anything you want to know about clients or how to handle certain things? Any concerns you have about working with people? Anything. This is your last class. You can drill me with all the questions you want. And then we'll get into the setup. Go for
I
it.
had a question. I was a massage therapist for 6 years a while ago.
Go, girl, go.
Yeah, yeah. But I really had a hard time with the business aspect because I think I was wishy-washy. And I didn't charge for the travel time. I didn't charge. That you didn't show up. I didn't charge them. I did a whole bunch of things that really shortchanged myself and I burn out and after a
I'm gonna
while.
pause you really quick before you get to your question. One
Yeah.
thing I think is a must as a business owner is have a way that they pay up front.
Okay.
7 years
That's
of
yeah,
business.
that's what they need to know because it's so important.
Yeah, because I've had
So
like
important.
5 cancellations that I can count in the 7 years I've been in business. 3 of which were because they didn't pay up front. Once people pay up front for their session, they're more likely to attend because they've already invested in it. Anytime that I've had somebody want to quote unquote cancel, it was really they just want to reschedule. When you have them pay up front, they're already invested. You won't have cancellations, you won't miss out on the money. And that way, if they no show, if they cancel for me, if you cancel 24 hours in advance, you get a full refund. Anything under 24 hours, you get 30% that I keep, you get the 70% back. And if you no show, I keep it all. Okay, that way you know you're getting paid for your time. Because for me, people can't book same day because I work out of my home. So I don't take same day bookings because it's what I basically literally schedule my entire day around. So have a way that they can pay up front, which is why I like the way my website is. So I recommend using Wix. If you want to build a website for yourself, I recommend Wix,
How do you spell Wix?
Wix.
Uh-huh.
If you want a cheaper option that will still allow clients to pay up front, GoDaddy's a great one as well. They're both beginner websites. They both convert on cell phones, tablets, all the things. I like Wix because they've updated it. It's more user friendly. When I got it, it was not user friendly, but my background's in website development and SEO. I find Wix to be a higher converting site, so it will benefit you business wise. It ranks better on Google. And it gives you literally an SEO wizard, which is basically just has a program on the back end that you get to see that teaches you how to do your own SEO. So you don't have to hire somebody. And it literally is like, hey, click this button, add this word, fixed, great, next. That's it. So big fan of Wix. Go
Now,
on.
did you also what I realized at the end is I needed that tax, what's that tax thing where you put your money in
Oh, are
that on computer? Anyway,
income
I needed to pay taxes on it or whatever. And I needed to have this, system, and I can't remember what the name of it is, but I wish I would have had that.
with
Uh,
which you can incorporate QuickBooks.
QuickBooks is what it was.
That's
And
what
I did everything on paper and and I should have had QuickBooks because QuickBooks would have made the money real obvious. Are you able to pay your rent? And I had to pay, that pay place where I was at. Are you making enough money, with what you're doing now? Does it, and without QuickBooks, I think I lied to myself about, whether it was workable.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, so I would say QuickBooks was huge.
Yeah.
I
So
wish I would have had that.
Wix incorporates QuickBooks into your
Oh,
site.
does it?
It does. I don't use
Oh,
I don't use it because I started off with GoDaddy. And so when
okay.
I transferred over, I could add QuickBooks, but then I had to categorize everything that I made
Okay.
that year. And it was just so tedious. Um,
Okay.
but if you don't want to use QuickBooks, I find it to be extremely tedious. I just don't like it. I'm not a numbers person in the sense of like taxes. Like I ain't a CPA. I know it. I'm fine with that. I'm a
Right.
science mind. I'm a logical mind,
Right.
and I'm like a very general math mind. So I have what's called Lily Co. It's a banking app. It's where all my money from my website transfers into an international bank account through Lily. And for every deposit and everything I spend, I get to mark what percentage of it, 100% or 70% is a business expense, is a business pay, is a personal pay. Okay, so anytime I get a deposit, it's 100% from my business, right? And then every deposit that goes into my account, I get to set what percentage is set aside into a tax bucket.
Right.
I put aside 20 to 25% of every deposit from every booking, and it sets me up for my taxes at the end of the year.
So 25%, that's a real good, a quarter of everything is
Exactly.
taxable. So that's exactly what I wish somebody would have told me when I started out. I
I,
mean, I ran into that wall.
I
Huh?
learned the hard way when the IRS was like, "Yo, girl, you got like 2 years of taxes you still got
I
to pay."
did
I'm
too.
working on it.
But
Big brain.
I'm doing God's work. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? And so the business part is really serious because and then it mentally messes with you. I'm on my knees going, God, I'm trying to do something here. And he's like, yeah, but you got to pay your taxes, So it was internally difficult
Yeah.
at the same time as it was if I wish I would have known these
Yeah.
business apparatuses that are out there. So, ladies, if you've never thought about a business, this is a business. And you have to have those things for you to look at the numbers and get real about it, Yeah.
The other great thing with Wix is that it gives you analytics. So I could see what I
Right.
did this month in regards to sales, in regards to revenue, because they're two different things.
Yes.
I could have X amount of sales.
Right.
I'm going to equal my revenue if somebody cancels or wants a refund.
Right.
That's where you're going to have a discrepancy. So you got to look at your revenue, not your sales. It will also show you your percentage of new clients compared to your percentage of reoccurring clients. It will show you how much of your income is through your bundles or through your plans or through your packages and how much are through single sessions. So that gives you
Oh,
an idea of like what to promote. So for instance, all of you know that with me, at the end of your first session, I'll say to you, hey, I recommend bi-weekly sessions. Most people sign up for my bi-weekly bundle. The only thing with bundles, which is the issue, and it's a great problem to have, but at the same time, I would highly recommend making sure at least 25 to 30% of your calendar stays open for new clients always.
okay. That's important.
That's
That's
extremely
important.
important because if somebody were to cancel and you miss
Yes.
out on X amount of money, that's a reoccurring payment every month. If you're not getting promoted and having a constant flow of new clients coming in,
That's
how is
right.
that going to get filled? So for
For
instance,
advertising, word of mouth, you have to have that 30% open, 25 to
yeah.
make sure that you're kind of promoting new ideas. You send out your emails. Hey, haven't heard from you for a while. What's going on? And you do these little promotions. And if you don't do that, it's hard to get people to come in. So that's all really important stuff.
Yeah. So the good thing with Wix and most websites now, you will have automations. Your automation, so if somebody signs up to your site, they automatically get a discount, right? If somebody goes and books with you, instructions will automatically go to them. Somebody hasn't been on your site for 30 days, it will send a reminder. If they haven't been on it,
Right.
it will send a reminder. So you don't have to worry about your emails being sent out. Your
Um,
platforms typically have this built into it. All you have to do is go in and customize. each of them one time, which might feel tedious for a day or two, but it's going to have a very long-term sustainable effect on your business,
It
right?
really will.
The only thing to do to make sure of is to be mindful of when you change your policies, you will have to go in to change the policy on each of those emails. So for instance, like at the bottom of my emails that go out, typically my cancellation policy shows. The good thing about Wix is it literally has a policy page, so it'll update it across all of your emails. You don't have to go in individually to every single automation and do it.
Nice.
The other thing though is, so for instance, right now, I cannot sell any more biweekly bundles. I had one person cancel the other day. I didn't even bother putting it up because I had a new client yesterday. She bought the bundle. And the best way to do this is if when you're first starting, this is
Right.
how I started with my bundles. When you're first starting, don't sell them on the whole bundle. Be like, hey, anybody that signs up same day, I include what you paid for today's session into this bundle price, and it counts as one of the 2 sessions you get every month. So you're basically taking what they paid, subtracting it from whatever your bundle price is, and giving them another session. And then tell them you have to stay on this for 3 more months at your full price, or 2 more months at your full price, right? And well, you discounted bundle price. And that's a great way to promote your bundles. And people are getting a deal. They think they're getting a deal because not only do they typically get their first session discounted, but now they're getting a discounted bundle price. The thing is, when you first start, you probably shouldn't have bundles to start right off the jump, though. You're trying to
Mm-mm.
build your income. You want
Right.
clients to come back and you need them to pay full price to sustain your business. Once you have about 30 days of current clients, that's when I would start rolling out your bundles. I roll them out so they only take up 10% of your calendar. So about 90% of your calendar is full price. And after a few months, then you allow 20% to be bundles and the rest is full price. Okay. And eventually you get to 70% and then the rest is full price. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sounds, oh, I'm an airy fairy person and I don't really want to even think about the business. The business will sink you and it will break your heart.
No, it won't. Stop that. We don't
But
speak
you
to
know,
that.
you can come back to it, but
I'm
it's
gonna mute you
important.
now. No negativity in this
No
space.
negativity, but I'm just
Nope,
putting it out there. You can
nope.
do this, but the business is
The
important.
will not sink you. Your belief that it will is what will.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I can mute you in a second, ma'am. I am. No
No,
negativity.
no. Oh, no, no. I didn't mean to do that. I just wanted to bring up the business part.
Perfect. Okay. So, I will say the biggest thing that helps. So, for instance, 2022 to 2023, I could quadrupled my business. I didn't do anything different other than finally learn to fucking love myself. Your self-worth is directly correlated to your income energetically on a frequency level. Okay, 2020, what did I say? It was 22 to 23. It's because when I got out of an extremely abusive relationship, I dove into deep, deep self-care. And so when I saw more value in myself, I saw more value in my time, more value in what I offered. It's not that my prices changed at all. My prices stayed the same. What changed was the frequency I was holding. If you are finding yourself struggling with scarcity mindset, it's directly correlated to not feeling worthy. What are you not feeling worthy of? Love, respect, validation. And if you're wanting validation externally, are you giving that validation to yourself at all first? If you are struggling with your finances, I deeply, 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 and highly, highly, highly recommend reading the book, You Are a Badass at Making Money. In that book, it's just an easy read and she breaks it down, and you will see that every technique she gives you to build a relationship with money is a very technique you can use to build a relationship with yourself. For instance, one of her favorite ones I teach a lot of my students is write a letter to money like it's a romantic partner. Dear money, I'm so scared that you're in my life right now because I'm fearful that you're going to abandon me. I'm fearful that you're not always going to be here, that you're going to leave, or that I'll have you for a few days and then you'll disappear and I won't hear from you. And I don't like being ghosted, right? You'll realize how much your relationship with money reflects your romantic partnerships or your relationships with other people. And so that's why the more you know yourself, the more you value your self-worth, the more your money will increase. There's scientific studies that are done that show that couples who are extremely happy in their relationship and feel very supported by their partner are financially abundant together, right? Whereas couples who don't feel supported and don't feel like they're valued, struggle financially, or if there's betrayal in the relationship, they come into financial difficulty, or one feels like they're not comparable to the other in regards to finances. Okay? So it's not necessarily about money, but it's about your self-worth. The more you dive into your self-worth and adore yourself, your business and every other area of your life will thrive. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you. And you won't worry. On days you make $0, the next day you make $2,000 and you will be baffled. You'll be baffled. I promise, I promise. I went from thinking I'm not going to make it through the day with $50 in my account to having days where I made nothing to days where I made $3,500. And I was wondering what just happened. You will have days where you just know today's a day of rest for me, that it's always flowing to me, that I don't have to worry, I don't have to squeeze it. It's just flowing when it needs to flow. And when you get into that, it's because you feel worthy of it and you don't have to fight for it. Okay? Questions?
Thank you very much. That was helpful.
Woo-hoo! Yeah, money directly correlated to self-worth. Psychologically proven too. It's not just spiritual blue bukkake, I promise. Where are we at with time? Hold on 2 seconds. Oh, crazy. Okay, sorry. I was like, is this my mom? Not my mom. Somebody a lot like my mom, but not my mother. Okay. What else? Okay. So any other questions about business? I want to make sure you guys got all the business goodies.
How do you generate like business? How do you generate new clients and establish?
Fantastic question. So for me, I started with tarot on YouTube, and so I was known for other things outside of Reiki. I would highly recommend I've been in business 7 years. I've never paid for ads. Not once. With a background in SEO, you don't like if you are ranking, if you are updating your website. So this is the thing to rank on Google. Update your website regularly. Like I'm sure you guys probably go on my site and are like, oh my God, this chick is changing things all the time on here. You have to. Think of your website as a novel. Google's going to read it, but once it reads it once, it's not going to read it again unless something is different. And so the more you update your site, and it doesn't have to be every week, it's just like once a month, change something. Give it something new to read. Google's going to be like, okay, your website has something new. I want to look into it. I want to see that, right? And so it's keeping it relevant, right? The next part of that is update your Google My Business listing. A lot of people forget that their Google business listing is a very, very important factor. So, when you search like Reiki practitioner near me, and you get all these locations that pop up, and you see the little map and the business, and it's like a business snapshot. That is your Google My Business listing. You need to go on to that and you need to add pictures to it. You need to promote your sales that you have on your website. You need to promote your services. You need to just do a monthly shout out or post like your monthly newsletter or something on it, because Google reads that as part of your website. And so it's like a mini website in your real website. So is it tedious? Yes. But it's a great way to build your website's visibility. It will probably take 6 months for your website to even start ranking though. And to get to the top of the page, it might take over a year. So in the meantime, a great thing to do is to collaborate with massage schools, right? Go there, ask them if you could teach Reiki to their students, right? Or maybe if they want a Reiki practitioner, or go to a massage parlor place, right? Whatever you call them. And ask them if they need a Reiki practitioner. You could give your business cards to a chiropractor or an acupuncturist. There's plenty of acupuncturists that want to rent out rooms to energy healers and Reiki practitioners, shamanic healers. It's very popular with acupuncture. So finding an acupuncture studio that's looking for somebody to come in is another great way, because you're building clientele. Yes, it might be under another business's name, but you will start to have your name get known for that work in your area. And then over time, you'll be able to be like, hey, it's time for me to go out on my own. You could also have an Instagram, a TikTok, or a Facebook page or a YouTube channel where you talk about energy healing and the benefits of it. And you give quick little 2-minute energy healings to anybody who comes across this video. A lot of people do things like that. Like, here's a quick aura cleanse, and you're just sending white light literally to anybody who's watching it, and let that be your intention. There's a lot of practitioners that build it that way. For me, it was mainly tarot and just mentioning I did energy healing because I was mostly known for tarot at first. And now I don't do it anymore. And so people know me more for energy healing and for teaching energy healing. So for instance, like you could also do a podcast. Like I'm going to be shifting into the podcast world, and into educational videos about the psychology behind this kinds of stuff. So I think that will help get rid of some of the negative connotations people have of energy work and thinking it's so woo-woo, right? You could have really great conversations about this work, and just talking about that publicly will help people that resonate with your lens come to you as a practitioner. Can you purchase ads? Yeah, you can. It is quite the investment. And the thing with when you do a pay per click, that's the most common form of ad. It's like when you Google a Reiki practitioner near me, at the very top, you'll see advertised and you'll see the first 3 links. Those are pay per click links. And you might not see the little word advertised, but they're paying for every click. But that click could be a competitor just running out your clicks, and you get charged for every click that they do because you only have X amount of clicks that you've purchased. And so it might not be actual customers. It could be somebody in the area that just wants to click on it. And I only know that people do that because I used to build websites for small businesses like contractors. And so if they were competing for bids, they'd get rid of each other's clicks all the time, men just being men. But I think it's smarter and better to promote your business by building community. You can even collaborate with a current yoga studio near you. You could volunteer at a shelter, at a women's shelter, at the VA. You could get contracts with the VA for the recovery groups and to be the main practitioner that they use as well. There's a lot, you could definitely be a contracted Reiki practitioner, an energy healer. There's plenty of people that do that. So it's really up to you. Okay. I'm gonna wait and give Hawa a second to get back in. Any questions? Does all make sense? Woohoo! Okay. Let's talk about the cost of a website really quick before I go into the next portion of it. So for instance, let me see. Websites can range anywhere from like 300 to 1,400 US dollars at least. And so like I know I'm definitely, after this many years in business, I'm definitely towards the higher end of my website. So like things that come with a higher end website, like I know for years I had people being like, don't you have a referral program where like I can get a discount, my friend can get a discount? In order to even have a referral program on my site, I had to be spending over $1,000 on my website every year. And I was like, they don't give you monthly payments. You have to pay up front for it. And so it's like a big lump sum fee. And so I started off with a cheaper website that allowed me to offer my bookings and to accept payments. And that's all I needed. And then I upgraded to a website that let me do bundles. And then I upgraded to a website that let me do a loyalty program. Then I upgraded where it let me do a referral program. Then I let me update where I could upload even these videos of our sessions was not included with the base of my site. Like this is an expensive upgrade to have. And a lot of people aren't aware of that. They're like, it's just a referral program. What do you mean you don't have one? The back end of a referral program of like, okay, you filled out this form, it sends you an email, it creates an individual code for you that generates this discount for you. And if you send the link that's in the email to another person, then that email link is now creating a different discount for the person you referred. That whole chain is what they're charging you for. So you don't have to create it. And so I would highly recommend looking into the websites. What do you really want to invest? What's really necessary? At this point in time, do I truly need all the bells and whistles? Or will I really be okay just having my services and my prices and something really simple on there? And honestly, the more simple it is, usually the better it is for clients. They don't get as overwhelmed. They don't get as confused. Like you guys might have noticed, for those of you who are familiar with my site over the years, I deleted probably 20 different services off my site just like a month ago. And it was just like different sections of where all my services were like duplicated so people could access them on multiple pages. And so now I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 services. I got rid of a bunch of tarot readings. I got rid of like adolescent healing sessions, pro bono sessions, classes, individual classes. Like the less really is more sometimes. And it also will make your life a lot less confusing, right? Like I went from offering 30-minute sessions and hour-long sessions to realizing after having 30 minutes for a while, I was like, pardon my French, what the fuck am I doing? This is wasting my time. It was a waste of my time. I have to have somebody come in my door for 30 minutes, which is going to fly by just to clean up and miss out on an hour and then have another 30-minute buffer. And it's going to screw up the amount of appointments I have for the rest of the day. And I don't get paid as much. I didn't like that. I'd rather just have somebody who wants to come for a whole hour. Right? I was thinking like, oh, here's another cost-effective option for other people who were struggling. Because it was a time where a lot of people were struggling. And I was like, Jordan, like, you can't do all the things for everybody. And that was the reality of it. Like, I had a points program that would give you up to 30% off. I was shouting out discounts every other week at 20% off during that time. You guys probably know this time. I was giving 20% like crazy for a while. And then I was like, it's holiday season. I can't do it anymore. But it wasn't because my business was hurting. It's because I knew that there were certain people that couldn't afford things because of what was going on in the world, just the economy. But at the end of the day, I knew that I didn't enjoy 30-minute sessions. It felt rushed. I felt that I was doing them a disservice and it was taking my joy out of my work. So going through those experiences, though, helped me see what works for me and what doesn't. You might love 30-minute sessions. I got a girlfriend, she's a Reiki master. She loves single day crash courses because she has 3 kids and she's a massage therapist, right? So she likes the single day classes. She's like, I don't know how you do this program. Hour and a half with somebody 3 times a month? No, thank you. Right? Like she wants to be in, out, and done. I like community. I like getting to know people. It works for me. It might not work for you. Find what works for you. Play with it. Um, but just remember, like, don't don't try to do all the things for people. I did that for many years. I was like, love reading, Gemma reading, 15-minute reading. And I was like, I don't want to have all these options. Like, just book a fucking reading and let me know what you want to know. Like, why am I making this so difficult? Like, it doesn't have to be that hard. I have some people that come for healing sessions and they're just like, I don't really know what I want to focus on. I flat out say, do you just want me to do my thing? Like, yeah, do you think? I'm like, cool, lay down, let's get into it. And that's fine. Some people are like, hey, like, I got raped. I was in an abusive relationship. I lost my child. I'm a recovering addict. I've been sober for X amount of months. I'm going through EMDR. I watched somebody kill themselves. Like there's so many other things that some people want to focus on. Some people are just like, my job stresses me the fuck out. Can you help me with that? Cool. Done. Lay down. And that's it. You're going to have people all over. So don't think that you have to be a certain way. I think learning to be flexible is the best because you're going to attract a lot of people in this. And some of those people are going to be right up your alley. And some of those people are going to be the alley you're heading into. And they're helping you to have a new lens. So be open, be flexible. I can say right now, I'm definitely going through one of those flexible periods. I feel very weird with my work right now. And that happens multiple times. It usually happens after eclipse season. Usually happens right after the fall equinox. So it's because we're going through the death and the rebirth, all the things. So when these times happen, don't doubt. Just be like, cool, spirit's got me. Stuff's moving. It's changing. Next phase. But yeah, that's advertising. That's clients, investments, website. Don't compromise yourself, your boundaries, or your integrity, especially your integrity. I've had a lot of people that challenge that. And I flat out said, I think you should find a different practitioner. We don't seem to be a good fit. Do you have a recommendation? Nope, because I'm not going to do that to my friend. Bye. Out the door. Out the door. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Toodaloo. Good luck. Self-care. Therapist. Bye. So doesn't make you mean, but you get to choose who you work with and why you work with them. And if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. As you're starting, do I recommend having a free 10-minute phone call or Zoom call with a client before they book? If that's what works for you, if you're going to do it in person, highly recommend it. If you're going to do it over Zoom, Doesn't really matter. They're not going to be in your space, not going to be in your home. But if you want to vet them just to see if energetically you want to be digging around in it, go ahead and do that too. Might sound silly. I'd make it very clear that people should be clothed at all times during any distance or in-person sessions. I have male clients that like to lay in bed with their shirt off, but I'm like, if you're going to lay in bed with any clothes off, just turn your camera off. And if your camera's off, my camera's going to be off because I don't know what they're doing on the other end of that camera, especially if it's a first time client, and I'll tell them that. Because it's just the reality of it, right? Once you get to know somebody, you get to know their personality. You'll know whether or not you want to work with them, whether you can keep your camera off, whether you want to turn it on, all that. I've never had an issue with it. Other than the one cancellation I had was because he asked if he could come and be naked. And I said, if you want to be naked, I recommend doing a distance session from home. And he's like, well, I really want to see you in person. And I was like, well, then you're gonna have to be fully clothed. And I told him, I said, based on our conversation, I don't think that coming in person is going to be a good fit. I think staying home would be best. He's like, well, I think I want to cancel. Great. I agree. Have a great day. It's fine. Okay. It's fine. Don't stress it. And especially, this is the other thing. And then I'll get on to actually setting up a session because we're only an hour in. So I've been chewing your ear off and you guys are doing great with it. But this is important stuff. Like the business ethics is really important. So I want you to walk away and know like all the possibilities pretty much. I lost my thought now. You're talking about dude, homie, all that. I lost it. It'll come back to me. Um, that's poopy. It was a really good one too. In regards to technology, as you guys know, like I typically always have my tablet if you come in person. Is it a necessity? No. I mainly have it for when because I do multiple services and I teach. It's just more portable. And if you've been here in classes, in person for classes, you know I stream them to the TV. So my clients can see the whole workbook right there. And we sit in the living room and then we come over here to practice. So is it necessary to have one of these? No. I got the mini. If any of you want the mini, let a girl know because I'm selling it because now I have this one. I only got this one because it was bigger and I needed to study my spinal flow stuff on. The mini worked perfectly for my business, and it's what I had clients fill out their liability waivers on if they forgot prior to coming. And they would fill it out and it goes right to your website. It's not something that you're going to have to print out. So it's a good option to have something where you can pull up for them, or you just bring your laptop down. I don't like bringing my laptop down because it's typically hooked up to like two other monitors. It's where I teach classes. It's where I do distance sessions. And it's just like carrying that up and down versus like a little tiny tablet. It's just more user friendly. Again, not a necessity, more of like a luxury. Not really needed. What else? That's really gonna bother me.
Where did you get your liability rate? Did you work with a lawyer?
I actually did it through, what was it? What are they called? Mark Cuban's business. Um, oh, I forget what they're called. Watch, I can type in IRS into my email. It'll probably come up. Zen Business. It's owned by Mark Cuban. I wasn't a huge fan, if I'm being honest. Getting a lawyer would be great. For me, I actually typed up my own liability on my site. And then I got my LLC and all that insurance through Zen Business. They cover all of it. I pay like, I think like 150, 200 bucks a year, and they fill out all my tax forms for me. So I don't have to do any of it. I just send them like my information and they do all that stuff. When I actually file my taxes, I do that myself. I use TurboTax. I do it myself because I'm a small business, and with Lily, it's easy for me to keep track of it all. And I just have my major expenses like typed up in an Excel sheet, and I keep track of it there. Makes it easier for me personally. And most of my business purchases I make through Amazon. So I have my receipts always because I'm not good at having paper receipts. So I'll just go to Amazon, this year's purchases, and I'll just write down every single purchase that was a business expense. When I do my taxes, I just type it all in there. Okay. Does that help? If you do have,
You have liability insurance too?
yeah, Zen Business does it for me though. Because they work with the IRS, they work with lawyers and everything. And yeah, I'm an LLC, so I have to. And I also work out of my home and I have brick stairs, so can't have people falling and dying. Yeah. Is it necessary? Nope. Especially if you're just doing distance sessions. Like, where are they going to be? She cursed me with a demon in court. Prove it. I went to her. My symptoms got worse. What did you change in your personal life? Nothing. Hmm. Is it really going to hold up in court at all? No. So distance, if you're just doing distance, you're not going to really need it. You can have it. That's why, like when I started, I had my liability forms as they are. And it literally says at the bottom, like, in every case other than in gross negligence, right? You agree to hold Lead by Light, Jordan of Lead by Light, harmless of any and all, blah, 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 blah. They're basically saying, like, I'm not going to sue you for anything other than complete gross negligence, right? And that basically is like physical harm, like physical, visible, like gross, obvious harm. And is it obvious if you're like being cursed by a demon? Probably not. So in this work, it's kind of hard for anybody to really do anything unless they fall on your stairs, or if your table breaks and they fall off your table, or if they trip, or if they slip on the wood floors because their shoes are wet and I don't have a floor mat for them to wipe their shoes off. If they, right, it's only things typically if they're in person. So if you're doing distance sessions, your liability form will cover that. I had a woman one time who said that and this is before I updated my liability form, and I did it through like Rocket Lawyer. It's when I first started my business, and it was extremely general. And it was just like, you agree to hold me harmless. Any side effects are your own responsibility. It was like completely general. Like you basically can't come after me for anything. And she was like, I'm not signing that liability waiver. It's too general. And I was like, okay, well then maybe we shouldn't work together. Like I can't work with you unless you sign my liability waiver. Well, I really want a session. Well, then you should fill out the liability waiver. Well, I'm not going to. Well, then you can't have a session. Well, I'm a CPA and that's just too general. I'm like, a CPA does fucking taxes, lady. Like you are not a lawyer. And it was just like the most ridiculous conversation. And I was like, I can update it and make it a little bit more specific. And I did. I updated it. It took me 5 minutes. And because you could find like legal forms and templates for Reiki practitioners. And I found one that I liked. As you guys know, I wear many hats and I have studied a little bit of law myself. And so I went and I typed up the form the way I wanted it to. And I put it up there and it's basically the form I have now. And I'm going to update my form again to make it easier for my clients. But even after that, she's like, well, I don't want to sign it now. And I was like, okay, well, good luck. Well, I can't have a session. No, lady, bye. Like, don't hold any sessions unless I sign it. I've had people come in and they're like, yeah, I did. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to double check. And they haven't. I'll be like, we're going to fill out now. Well, do we have to? It's going to cut into the time. So literally in the waiver, it says, if you do not fill out this form, it takes up time in our session. Please fill it out in advance. Right. And my booking form, you guys seen it. So you could do all that. Have I ever had an issue with it? No. I will say this, the more you fear having an issue, the more likely you are to attract an issue. I work with all the people I work with, I love working with. I love working with like I will listen. This is the kind of relationship I have with pretty much 95% of my clients is this kind of relationship. I had texted a client, she wanted to reschedule because of the holidays. She said, I'll take 11:30 virtual. And it was just like crazy on my calendar. And I was like, okay. I said, perfect. Thank you so much for being flexible with men. Oh my gosh, me, I'm so sorry. And she said, oh no, that's okay. My husband would love that. Right? Like clients joke, they play, they'll laugh with you. You're going to attract people that are just as sick in the head as you are, and you're not going to have to worry about them coming after you for liability if you really are in love with your work, right? Have that lens of like, I can have liability, but I'm really not going to need it, right? And you won't have issues. It's great to have the blanket, but the more you feed that fear, the more you're calling that fear in, right? So don't fear it. Get it done, obviously, but don't fear it. That's another reason why I loved having distance sessions, though. Distance sessions, like you didn't have to worry about stuff like that. And like I've even thought about doing distance December where I don't take anybody in person. Because I will say working out of the home, um, it's I love seeing people in person. Like I need like that interaction, but sharing your space all the time becomes very draining. Like I'd be lying if I said I wasn't looking forward to 5 days off this upcoming week, right? It's nice to have, even though I'm not even going to be in my own space anyway. But it's nice to just have that time away and not share your space. I definitely recommend liability insurance. You can get Reiki practitioner insurance. It's like an international one though, so does it really uphold here in the US? If you want to spend the money on it, sure. Um, I just have liability for slips, falls, if anybody in my house ends up getting any kind of thing, right? And that's pretty much it. And obviously like business insurance, but that's about it with that. Don't really have issues with it ever. Knock wood. Cool. Any other questions? Do. Wow. Okay. Do we want a brain break? We're halfway through. Sherry's like, yes, please. My brain's on fire. Okay. Everybody, brain break. 5 minutes. Or do you want 10 minutes till 12:30? What are you thinking? 5 or 10? Okay, 5. Ready? Go. Break. Okie dokie. How's everybody doing?
I'm back, but I'm eating lunch, so I'm going off camera.
Okie dokie. Hello, hello. Everybody got a snack. Dang, I missed the memo, guys. I missed the memo. Okay. I guess it is time to get into how I really prepare before a session. Cool? Cool. Okay. Give me 2 seconds. I need to answer this. I need to check in with my mother too, because she's about to be done. Why is it not showing up on here? Okay. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I don't like this new update. It's not it's not even a text message. I was looking at my text. It was a transcribed voicemail. I felt like an old lady there for a second. Okay. Let me close all this out. And we will get into all the things. So let us begin. First thing first. You don't have to have one of these. This is what I use. This is a Google Home speaker. Okay. You can just have a Bluetooth speaker. I highly do not recommend playing your music off your phone. It will sound very uncomfortable to your client. If you're doing distance sessions, you can, with paid Zoom, share your sound. So I typically in my distance sessions, some of you know this, I will share my music with you. And that's a benefit. I do it through YouTube Music because you have the videos of the music instead of Spotify, which is typically only 10 to 20 minutes of a session. Okay. I mean, of a video of music. So I like a Google Chrome thing for in person. You could just get a Bluetooth speaker and stream it to that, whatever floats your boat. Just make sure it doesn't die. I like this because I could talk to it. Okay. So it helps me just say what kind of music I want to play and then goes ahead and plays it. Okay. Next. Next, I use a Reiki sheet. Bam, bam. Why? Because I don't want my table to deteriorate from people's body oils being on it. It will basically eat away at it. I don't want to smell people's body odor either all day because some people, as much as you tell them to come clean to us. Oh my God, it's my speaker. Just plugged it in. Give me a heart attack. You'll tell them to come clean to a session and they'll show up sweaty after the gym or something. So have a sheet, have a blanket, protect your table. It is a business investment. This sheet is off Amazon. It's super soft. I love it. If you want me to link both tables I've purchased and the sheets, give me a thumbs up or something, and I will do that. Okay. Next, after I put my sheet on, I put my bolsters. This is how I set up my table. It's so when clients come in, if I'm being honest, they don't sit down right away. I get to be like, hey, let me remove these for you. Go ahead and take a seat, right? Some people want to come in and they want to like lay down. It's kind of like, it's going to sound really bad, but it's kind of like a mental game. It's really good for strong personalities. Like I've had some people come, Let me put it to you this way. The client that I told you had a 10 a.m. that they claimed was a 12 and was like, I'm coming. I haven't missed my appointment. It's a very strong personality. And they come in, they're like, well, I want to talk to you about something. So let's talk about this first. And I'll be like, actually, give me a second. Your space. They don't control the space. It's your space. I would love to hear what you have to say. But first, let's go ahead and prepare for our healing session today because that's what our time's allotted for. Well, I really wanted to talk to you and get your advice on this. Well, I'm not in a place to give advice. I'm not a mentor of any sort other than when it comes to energy healing. So if you'd like to pick my brain about something, it's going to cut into the time of our session today. You don't have an extra 10, 15 minutes? No, I don't, because we're only scheduled 10 to 11. End of story. Do I feel bad about it? Not anymore. When I first started, of course I did. I felt really bad about it. Once you have a busy business, you are not gonna want to give extra time up. I promise you, it's not a reflection of whether you're a good or bad person, whether or not you care. Do I care? Did I really want to hear the story? I really did. But I knew that once you started talking, we would only have 30 minutes to do a session. I've had clients who share stories with me and they talk for 20 minutes. And I'll look at them and be like, okay, well, we only have about 25, 30 minutes to do the session. So let's go and lay down. Wait, what? And I'll be like, yeah, we're scheduled this time to that time. I told you when you started, this is going to cut into our time. And if they don't take you seriously, that's on them. There's nothing else I can do other than tell you it's going to cut into our time. I had a client, she's actually an old student. She drove 2 hours to see me. But the reality is she was my last client of the day. I already had 7 people. And at the end of the day, just like everybody else, I want to clock off. And so she goes, can we spend an extra like 30 minutes at the end so I could tell you this really cool story? And I told her, I said, I'm sorry, I don't have an extra 30 minutes today. And I said, if you'd like to come like 5 minutes early, I have wiggle room for that. And I said, and you can tell me a bit of your story in the beginning. And I said, other than that, I don't have the wiggle room. I would have loved to, but I didn't have the space anymore, right? I knew what my wherewithal was. That will be something you need to learn. You need to learn. So the reason I basically put barriers on my table is so when somebody comes in and they're standing at my counter, they're dropping all their stuff in the first stool, they're taking their shoes off, I'm showing them that I direct the space. It's not to be controlling and in a gross authoritative way. It's so they know that, yes, this might be your session that you booked, but I'm the one directing this beautiful symphony. So lay down and let me do my job. Okay? Because if you let them steamroll you, they will. You don't want that, especially if you're going to work out of your home. I've told clients straight up, when they said something to me, I'll look at them and I'll very politely say, I don't like how you just spoke to me. So let's try to stay away from that in the future. But anyway, what do you want to focus on today? And that is all I will lead it at. And they will hear in my tone the very polite way of, don't test me. I bite. I do. I try not to, but I will. Okay? And it helps clients see that they cannot walk all over you. Very common in this work because you're love and light work. People assume you're going to be a codependent or an empath, which is just hypervigilance and self-sacrificing. I do not teach you that because it's not healthy. Okay? I want you to be strong, empowered, independent women. Okay? Great. Fabulous. So, bolster, sheet to protect it, pillows. Let's talk pillows. Okay? Depending on your clientele, I have like a rather like fluffy pillow. It's more firm. Like even if I push it, like I'm pushing pretty hard, it really doesn't sink much more. I like this because I will say majority of my clientele is 55 and older. Okay, majority of my clientele have issues with neck, have issues with spine. So I want them to be supportive. Hell, I have 2 clients that bring their own memory foam pillows that they had after having neck surgery or spinal surgery. Okay. The other reason I like this is it protects the longevity of my headrest, but also I can lower it, right? So if somebody wants to lay more flat to have more extension in their neck, that's really good. So I set up my table. This is actually typically where I do have it because if their head's tilted, their neck chakra is going to be locked. So you want them to be fully flat and extended. You don't want them pinching back because that's creating tension on the cervical spine. through right below your skull. You want the head just to be flat, okay? And they don't have to be laying up here. You can put it here. If they're short, they're petite, I'll be like, hey, scoot down. We don't even need to use the headrest. Put your head there. Get comfy, right? Cool. Okay. So I set up my table and then I bring in, it's winter here. Oh, my mother's coming. Hold on. Mother, can you hear me? It's like I knew it. Hi. Perfect timing. You're just going over how to make the table. Okay. You. Oh, sorry. Let's have Vanessa. I didn't see. Okay. So once we have the table set up, it is winter here. It's getting chilly. So I have a very, like, this is a queen size blanket, guys. Like it just keeps unfolding. Okay. I keep it folded in half because remember what I told you guys about my blankets. This is one session. That's another session. I put this inside out. There's 2 more sessions. Done. Laundry that ish. Okay. But when a client comes in, I like the heavier blankets because it gives them a sense of, actually, mother, come here, be my dummy. Yes, be my dummy. This is perfect timing. I need a moldy. Kick them shoes off, girl.
Oh, yeah, yeah, can I watch my classes, all that?
Yeah,
All right.
just keep the clothes. Ooh, I like that toenail color.
Yeah, I let her pick it out.
You went plummy.
I did.
You fine.
I went to dark. Do dark.
Let's do the bolster test. Everybody say hi, Debbie.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for coming.
Hi. So when you have a bigger bolster, let me get this chair out of your way. Okay. When you have a bigger bolster like this, what do you think? My new table.
I like it.
Yeah. Hi. Hi. Okay. Lift your legs to 90 degrees for me. Okay. Okay. Don't get overzealous. 90 degrees. 90? Oh, there you go. Usually I don't have this problem ever. Okay. So what I want you to do, just extend your foot all the way up and now bring it back down. Do you see how your calf kind of grabbed the outside of that? Do the same thing with the other leg. And you just, do you feel how your lower back pulls it down a little bit or no?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Comfy? Cool. Now we're going to see how she reacts to one of these. Lift your legs again. Okay. Now put your legs down. Lift your legs just a little. There we go. Put it back down. Which one do you like more? This one. Right? Why?
Because my back is feeling it.
Yeah. See with this, do you feel more curve in your back or less?
Yes, more curve in my back. So
Is it
my
pain-
back straight would strain.
Yeah. Ha! Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
I was really scared you were gonna be like the other one. I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be counterproductive. Let me lower it a little. So the reason I lowered it a little is because you see her knees are right in line with this midpoint of it. That's where you want the knees, because what's happening is when she lifts this leg up and she puts it back down, it's gonna start pulling through her leg. Same thing with this side, put it back down. And now she'll start to feel her hips and her back elongate, so more of a vertebral space there. Let me take this off. You wanna leave it? I'm gonna put a big heavy blanket on you if I
Okay.
ask. Yeah.
Yeah, it's chilly.
I know it is, sorry. I'm turning it on if you want.
No, we got the blanket. I'm good.
Yeah. So this, if you have a Home Goods or a Home Sense or TJ Maxx, get your blankets from there. Like this is a Calvin Klein blanket. I got it for like $20 and it's a queen size blanket. You want your toes wrapped?
Yep.
Okay. Lift your
know.
feet.
You know by now.
I'm just kicking my non-existent boobies. Okay. I tuck them. I like to tuck them, burrito them. Do you want me to unfold it?
I'm good.
You comfy? Okay.
Mhm.
You like it? It's more than the bed or less? Different.
Different.
Yeah, more supportive.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay. So,
Oh, you weren't saying.
no, you went the same.
I had this last time.
Anywho.
Ryan's got safe too.
So we put the blanket on them. They're comfy. They're content. Typically before they arrive is when I do the saging you're about to see me do. Are you okay if I sage all the people, all the things off you?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Go ahead, sage the people and the things.
We'll get all the things off. Okay. Bum diddy bum bum. Okay. So we have some options. Some opciones. It is cold in here now you point it out.
Your shirt's open back.
Yeah, I'm kind of naked. So you guys know I have my concoction. I'm gonna move this speaker because it's right by the laptop and you won't be able to hear me if I do it into that. Okay. So I'll turn that music on in a second once it's on. And then, so when I say options, in between clients, I use a sage spray. So I'm not burning things all day because if you burn between every single client, you're going to have like a remnant of smoky air in your house. I have an air purifier by my front door. I typically crack my big windows I have here and my window there between clients just to kind of air out any smoke if I do burn, because I am partial to this over the spray. But you can like cleanse the whole space with this if you like to. It's a quick way to cleanse between clients if you're back to back. I have a 30-minute buffer because I'm partial to burning. So let's see. Hey, Google, play 432 Reiki healing frequency.
Playing 432 Hertz Reiki music for healing at all levels. Close double angle bracket. Cleanse negativity. Close double angle bracket. Emotional and spiritual healing on YouTube Music.
Was it long enough?
I know.
Okay. So I've lit my sage. And if she was not here, if she is here, if your clients are cool with it, that's fine. I have some clients that purposely ask me to wait and sage when they're here. But anyway, I cleanse this space of all harmful, unwanted, and unneeded energy. Any energy that is harmful or acting as an obstacle is now disrupted, released, and grounded. I cleanse the space of any energy that does not support the divine and sacred healing that happens here today. And I ask any and all energies that stand in the way of me serving my purpose to my highest good to be grounded into the earth and restored to their optimal well-being. And I just go through a few times and repeat the same thing. My intention is never the same every single time. It's really just whatever I feel, whatever just comes out. I always sage my hands and I waft it like into my heart space. I find that helps me to open up back to my compassionate heart, because the reality is you're human. You might feel frazzled between sessions, having to clean and switch out your blankets and cleanse the space and figure out who's coming next. What do I have to do? Do I need to pee? Do I need to drink water? Do I need to eat something really quick, right? Like there's going to be a lot and 30 minutes flies by. So cleansing and intentionally cleansing the heart space really, for me, helps me remember this is something sacred. The healing comes from the heart space. It's not just a white light coming into my hands, it fills the heart. And so doing that reminds me that this is something you get the privilege to do with other people, not something that, ooh, I'm special, I get to do this, right? Not ego-based, more higher self-based. I'm gonna turn some heat on. Oh, the door is open, no wonder. Okay.
Just warning you, because you know how you pick up everything.
Did you hear what she said? Okay, it's probably for the best.
Okay. Not, okay, headachy, okay. That's a yes.
Somebody's hungover.
Just, how often do I do this? I don't know, Debbie, how often do you do this?
Oh my God, I'm just kidding.
Like,
We can.
just warning you, you feel the headaches.
This could be fun. Okay, so this is a great example, actually.
Okay.
So substances, right? Let's talk substances. Substances actually are a lower frequency, right? So you notice like when you get attuned, you naturally want to drink less. You don't want to smoke weed anymore. If you do, it's really challenging to stop. Or if you want to stop smoking cigarettes, there's a part of you that knows like this is bad for me. I really need to stop doing this, but I'm so attached to the movement or how it feels or feeling or the community I share this habit with, right? And so as we continue through, you're warm, I'm cold. Is that one? So as we continue through the healing and as we continue through the Reiki healing journey, your frequency raises more and more. And so if you have, like, I work with a lot of addicts and recovered addicts, right? And so the biggest thing with them is most of the time their energy feels really dense. And you'll know somebody's energy is dense because when they come in, they're either really tired or you start to piggyback off that and you start to feel tired because you're co-regulating. If you notice you're starting to feel lethargic or heavy or tired, remind yourself it's not yours. You're probably co-regulating the opposite way. You want to be the one to co-regulate them. You want to hold the space, that higher, energized, more loving frequency, yet still relaxing. Because if it happens the other way, you start to sink, you start to feel tired. And so it's a very conscious practice, even if you're not doing energy healing, right? Let's say you're sitting in session and people are draining you, or you're just with family, #holidays, and you're like, God, I want to strangle somebody. No, I don't. That's them. I'm happy. I have a rainbow glow stick of my coochie, and I'm a ray of sunshine, right? Beautiful. It's a great visual too.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Your cooch rainbows.
Came out of yours. And so once I have them laying down, obviously with clients, I don't talk about coochies all the time, and have their bolster, sage, cleansed, music. You want your hands up or you can?
No, I was gonna yawn.
Oh, okay. I also have blackout curtains here. I'm gonna show them so you can see how dark the space gets. And I'm gonna do a mixture of a walk around session and a distance session, so you can see how I do both. But also I'm gonna say the intention I set before my session out loud, so you guys can hear how I set my sacred space. And it is different every single time because for me, it's really based off who I'm working with, what space I'm in that day, and what's resonating with me in my practice at that moment. So some days it's shamanic, some days it's more angelic, some days it has to do with Jesus and the angels, some days it's just Reiki, some days it's great spirit. Don't hold yourself in a box, let yourself kind of explore what works for you. And know that it will change day to day, just like your energy and your mood does, okay? Cool. So just for the sake of you seeing me, I'm gonna do it from here. Holy Spirit, angels and guides, I call you into this space for your protection, your divine direction, your grace, and your divine healing energy. I ask that any energy that is unwanted or unneeded in myself and my client be disrupted, released, and grounded gently and with ease, and replaced with divine healing white light. I ask that anything that's troubling this client or anything that is causing them dis-ease or stress in their life be released from them now and grounded into the earth. I ask that you guide me with my intuition to cleanse away any energies that no longer serve them to their highest good. I call on any ancestors, angels, or guides to fill this space with protection, healing, and divine direction, creating a sacred bubble around us. And no harmful, unwanted, or unneeded energy may enter into this space. It's much different saying it out loud than saying it in your head. But I think a lot of that goes to that setting your sacred space is a lot like prayer, right? So it's something that is going to be very sacred. It's going to be very intimate. And so I find that in distance sessions over the computer, I typically do say it out loud, but like I'm muted, so nobody hears me. So like right now, it's like not only am I sitting in front of students, I have my mother here, right? Like that's an intimate thing to share, right? There's so many different other connections, energies in this space along with it. And so it's a great way if you do say it out loud. And with some clients, I do say it out loud because it's a way I challenge myself outside of my comfort zone and to stay emotionally available and connected through this practice, right? And with other clients, you might realize that there's somebody who is very within. And so maybe that's the one that you say it in your head for. Okay. But it's up to you. Just figure out what works. So that's as simple as I set the sacred space. And if I want to set it with even calling in shamanic things, it would be as simple as Serpent of the South, Jaguar of the West, Eagle of the East, and Hummingbird of the North, Mother Earth and Father Sky. I call on you in the 6 directions to create a sacred and protective space around us, allowing any energy that no longer serves my client, their soul, and their consciousness to their highest good to be disrupted, released, and grounded into the earth, and restored for the love and compassion that is within each and every one of us. And that's it. It's very intuitive. That's not one I say all the time. It's just one I literally say that works for me. Okay. So explore it. Your verbiage will find its own way within yourself. And it might sound very different from mine, but that's okay because you're not me. Okay. Any questions on what I've covered so far before I get in? No?
Quick question, Jordan, about grounding and shielding.
Yes. I typically do that in the morning. Thank you.
Okay.
I do it when I shower, if I'm being honest. Like I do it in
Okay,
the
cool.
shower. I let water wash down me. I cleanse any because I literally have a bar of sage soap. And so I literally have
Nice.
all the yuck and guck off me in the shower. And grounding it into the earth and allowing the visual of all the soap going down the drain to be how it's being sucked out of my body. And like that will be where I talk to spirit and talk to God. So for instance, like a big part of my grounding was running outside this morning in the woods, right? So that's how I grounded. Meditated in the sunlight, allowed the sun to be my shield, and then cleansing all that in the shower. Okay, so your practice for grounding, centering, and shielding will evolve as you evolve. If I want to do it again here in the session, for me, it's as simple as I've called in the sacred space. I have that bubble around me. I'll visualize an angel behind me and literally pouring white light all around me, and that's a shield. And then I literally white lights forming around me. Any yuck and guck sinks into the earth. And as it sinks into the earth, I watch bright green roots grow out the soles of my feet and I start to feel anchored. And you'll see me start to like you notice how I rock and bounce a lot? Like it's not because I'm an antsy person.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking. I promise. It's also just how I stay connected to the soles of my feet. Like I always practice barefoot. That stay very connected to the ground, to the earth, to my physical self. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're so welcome. When you get started, I recommend, like if you were to do my 8-month program, I tell my students every time before they practice, take the next 5 to 10 minutes to just sink into yourself, right? Sink in, feel yourself. Just changing your tone lets you sink in. Just changing my tone brings my energy back into my body significantly. Instead of when I'm projecting up here, what you're doing, you're pushing your energy out. It's exhausting. My head starts to get heavy. When I start to change my toe, I sink in. Okay, so that's another great way. It's just like having the intention of literally visualizing your energy coming back into yourself. Visualize yourself relaxing and putting your hands back in prayer, connecting to that heart space. Okay. Great questions. So now we begin. Go ahead and take a deep breath in and let it all go. Take another deep breath in and let it all go. Give yourself permission to be present in this time and in this space, knowing that all the work we do today of your highest good. And any energy that is unwanted or unneeded is now being disrupted, released, grounded. So what I just did is, as I'm saying that intention, I draw the distance symbol and I draw the Daikomayo, which is the master symbol. For you guys, you could draw the Chokore. It will have the same effect. It's just a matter of turning on the Reiki healing energy, okay? So I do that. And now that I've done that, I turn on this white light. I want you to visualize a column of white light shining down through the top of your head. This white light washes away all thoughts, all distractions. And you feel how this white light expands down through your throat, through your shoulders, your collarbones, and your heart space. Washing away all stress, all tension, and all heaviness. You feel the white light as it expands down between your shoulder blades, relaxing these muscles. As the white light continues to flush through your body, down through your rib cage, through your lungs, through your spine, down and down through your torso, your lower back, and your hips. You feel your breath getting deeper and deeper as your body relaxes more and more, knowing this divine white light is filling every cell of your body. You feel the white light move down through your thighs and your hamstrings, down through your knees, your calves and your shins, down and down through your ankles, your feet, and your toes. Your entire being now filled with this healing white light. And with every breath, this white light expands not only through you, but around you, filling this entire space with divine healing energy. And in this space, you are safe, you are healing, and you are divine. So what I do as I walk them through the mindfulness is I literally do the distance healing of washing all of that down their body, right? So we're washing it, as I say, their collarbones. I imagine it through the top of the head, down through the collarbones, down through the torso, down through their abdomen. And I noticed as soon as I started on her, you over time you'll feel things in your body, right? You might not. Everybody's gonna be different. As soon as I started washing it through her body, I felt tension in the sides of my head. I felt my throat getting tight, and I felt the chest wanting to expand, and almost like I couldn't get a full breath, like the lungs were too tight. Okay. So I'm gonna focus first on the physical, because I know this individual doesn't really like the meditations. They're a thinker, right? And so working with that level of their body might be like my brain's not turning off, right? So I always start with the physical, give them something to sense within their physical body, because then their attention draws there and they'll be more present in this experience. That makes sense? So I'm using the Seiheki and the Chokore over the abdomen and the chest, not any chakras in particular, just filling her with healing energy and allowing it to sink through all the organs. As soon as I did, now the heart was like, okay. So for instance, as I started bringing the heart down, I started to see golden rivers of light, right? So I saw in shamanism those golden lines of light through the chest down the arms. And that shows me her pericardium line. So that tells me that for her, she probably feels a lot of her emotional tension up through her throat and through her traps, through her arms. So that's how I'm going to cleanse it off her body, is in that manner. Okay. Another reason I love it. Now I can get closer to the table. The headrest is in the way. This is also why it's important to have deodorant and smell good and shower, because you're going to be leaning over your client. Okay. I will say, like, on a physical level for your own body, when you're doing this work, you'll notice I don't know if you can tell, but I have a wide stance always, and my core is flexed the entire time because you will strengthen your lower back and your legs and your hips by standing all day doing this. And if you don't, your pelvic floor will get weak. You want to have your abdomen tight, flexed as you're doing your healing, but learn to continue breathing. It will save your body long term and it will help you have a strong core in general. For instance, this is something in the throat. So all I'm doing is gently pulling it, and as I pull it, I feel the jaw and the ears getting tight. Just gonna send white light into the ear. That's the head. See how I'm not pulling this hand anymore, how it's staying here? It's because it doesn't want to release now, and that's why there's more pressure. So I just send white light, just washing this entire area with white light. Has to do with her crown, so now I'm just going to ground the crown down wherever it's comfortable. Same thing, if you feel the need to intuitively blow, always blow away from them. You don't want to blow over them, right? Just kind of germs your breath. They might not like it. You don't know. I don't know about you, but I don't like people blowing in my face. Not really a good thing. So always have the intention of, like, I'll blow and wash it over to where I'm blowing, whatever it is. Her with white light in the head, allowing it to kind of come off almost like it's a swimmer's cap of black tar, right? There's there. I like to go to the feet. I'm gonna tilt you guys. Can't really see me down by the feet that much. Okay, so as soon as I start by the feet, this is typically where people hold a lot of their emotions outside of their hands because it's the energy that's trying to ground, right? So as soon as I touch here, I feel my sacral, which tells me relationships, right, are tied to this heaviness that's here. And I feel the center of my back behind my heart space starting to get really tight too, like I want to crack my back. So because of this, yep, and I feel it go all the way to my neck as soon as I come over to the sacral. So what I'm gonna do is I'm basically gonna, because I feel so much up and down my spine, I'm gonna work on that central meridian and just allow energy from the feet, the center of the stomach, not all the way to the head. Just gonna wash down her body with it. So now I see another version of her. So I'm gonna reach. It's more related to her root. And then it meets the sacral. The root goes down easier though. So immediately they're showing me the back of her body. So what I'm gonna do is just gonna literally visualize the back of her body in front of me, like she's standing in front of me. This are her shoulders, her arms off to the side, her torso, her hips, her legs. I'm literally just going to lay her down in front of me. Could I push down through the physical self and visualize her spine that way? Yeah, but this feels more like the back muscles. It's all that heaviness that was gummed up by the sacral as we're going to the back of the neck. Here. And now I feel it in the physical. You see what I mean? That like even with your eyes closed, even if you're visualizing it there, energetically you'll be pulled right back to where it is in this layer because they're all connected. Okay. That's good though. When they fall asleep, that's the good stuff. Now we cleared the sacral, now the root wants to clear. You see how we go from shamanic to Reiki, and they start to dance together. This is the goal, right? You want them to be a very fluid, they can coexist, they're just different states. So for instance, right here, I feel her root, but it feels very weak. So I'm doing the Seiheki. I wasn't smiling because I said weak, I was smiling because the clock in front of me says 111. The roots tied to the throat and the heart. So here's another layer of that same blockage we had in the sacral, which makes sense because it's all cooked up by the legs, right? And these last two chakras are the digestive chakras. There you're done. Stomach's making noises. So we're gonna work on the throat now because I feel it kind of getting a little tight. They don't want me to use any of the symbols that you guys know right now. They wanted a certain master symbol. I tried twice to do the Seiheki and they were like, no. Which tells me that this is more of an energetic imbalance. It's not, it's more of a soul imbalance. So this would be a soul retrieval. This is going to be very ancestral. Because as I try to bring the throat down, I see a string that goes up, and that tells me when it goes up into the ether and it's not connected to them, it tells me that's an ancestral wound. So I'm just basically like, if this is the string, I'm literally like sliding my fingers between it and guiding the chakra off the string, getting as close to her as I can, and still holding this. And then sending healing to this ancestral wound. And on that, I could do the Seiheki. Now that it released there, I can cut it here and release it from her physical self. Then I feel the ears get tight. So that's the energy in the third eye is finding this space to now move to the throat. So we're going to continue. So for her, I'm going to sit down to do her heart space because they want me to have either side, the front and the back. So I'm going to do that. Turn my camera. You following so far? Pretty good. first, and then I'm gonna go to the heart. As soon as I sat down, it wanted me here. Our heart space. But for instance, this on the back of the body, it almost feels like a black tar, like a heaviness that's stuck. So I'm just gonna get rid of that. And then the front of the heart space starts to open too. And that's when we start to be able to peel things off the arms and down the sides of the arms. Doing now is just grounding each layer of her back into the body. Gently letting it back into her body. White light that cleanses any remaining imbalances. Face has something else it wants to release. What I just did is I was just bringing each chakra to the surface of the body versus being sunk down. So if you saw me lifting, clearing, it was me lifting them up. So if you visualize it like a vortex, like you have a tube, We're just kind of making it like a nice healthy orb, okay, in their body. So it's a healthy orb chakra, clearing it all. And the same throughout their body. This is really good when you're working with people struggling with anxiety or depression because their energy tends to get depleted. So you want to bring it more to their conscious mind that they have this energy, that it's not hidden in the subconscious, that it's here. Okay. Just washing and flushing her with white light. Layer of her. Started flushing her, and then I was like, oh, there's another. Not your energy, it's somebody else's energy. So we're just gonna ground it into the earth. So this is like us washing through the aura. So now we cleaned all of her. We're washing through the aura again because we got so many imbalances off. Any imbalances that were caused by other people will tend to show up at the end of your session. Just kind of like clear that.
At one point, I felt like a magnet. Just like,
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Take your time. There's no rush. You can lay here and chill. Okay. Any comments, being the receiver? Anything you felt? You-
I always feel the energy. Like I felt like when you were. At one point, it felt like a magnet was like pulling stuff up. Like there was something. I always feel like stuff with you.
Woohoo.
Yeah, I like the Reiki.
Yay.
I get a lot of people's energies. That's all I do.
Not anymore. Don't speak it in existence. Not anymore. Big old, so at the end of a session, I always tell them to bend their legs so I can remove the bolster because it is a bigger bolster. You don't want them sitting up with a bolster underneath because it'll actually create more tension on the lower back, which is going to be counterproductive. Okay. Okay, there's a mirror in the front for your hair, for my hair. Yeah,
Looks pretty.
looks a little kooky. A little
Okay.
kooky.
All right. Matt
And-
here, have a good class.
Can Doodle stay with you tonight?
Yes.
Thank you. Cause I won't be back till late.
Do we have dog food for her?
Yeah, I got a whole bag. Yeah, I'm gonna go get you guys another for her anyway.
Okay.
Before Mexico.
Add it to your class.
I will.
Love you. We're good.
Love you. You're fabulous. Lots of water.
I know. I was
No
right.
alcohol today.
It takes a little while.
Yeah, we need to take a break, a sabbatical.
My body doesn't like it.
Yeah. Okay, hot stuff. I'll see you later.
See you later.
Just lock that door behind you, please, and make sure the glass is pushed shut. Press the lock button.
Oh, okay.
Okay, later.
Bye. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so we're not done. So you just finished a session. You walk a client out. You have this mess, right? So I have this little table. I don't know if I have any down here right now because it's the weekend. But usually I have my spirit pillowcases in this little table here. And they're all blue or they're beige or they're green. And so I just rip it off, put a new one on, throw it up my stairs. Some people, like I have a big bookcase here. Hey Google, off. Some people keep them stored in there. I used to, but this was just easier. Usually with this, I have this one on top of it. I just didn't put it on top for the sake of showing you guys. But that's just so I can get another healing session out of it. So I basically just take that top one off, the next person will lay on this one, and so on and so forth. And then once this is done, I have a blue set, I have a white set, and I have a green set upstairs. And so that's another reason why I like the Reiki tables more than the beds. Because with the twin bed, I had to change the cover sheet all the time, I had to change the comforter, I had to change the quilt, I had to switch them out all the time. You can get a bunch of these sheets and they're relatively cheap. And you throw them on, you throw them off, you keep them right here. So client's done, all this stuff will get washed. What do you do now? You cleanse your space again. Right? So I'm gonna sage when we're done with class, because no offense, but I want all of your energy out of my house too, so I'm not gonna do it now. And I cleanse the space of all harmful, unwanted, and unneeded energy. Any energy that is not mine, that is acting as an obstacle or a barrier, is now grounded into the earth. I thank you, Spirit, for your guidance and protection through today's session. And I thank you for protecting me and grounding any and all energy that is no longer needed in this space, my body, my client, or my practice. Done. Cool. Questions? A lot of information. But do you see how Reiki and shamanic healing really do like blend together just very naturally when you start practicing it? It will take time. I highly recommend starting with just Reiki at first and then adding the shamanic onto the other end of it. If you're going to have a space, I recommend having some blackout curtains, because as you see, it gets pretty dark in here without them. Okay. Final Q&A for the next 10 minutes before we talk about your certifications. Anybody? No? Okay.
Nell, do you want to go? Wait, because I saw Nell unmute. So,
No, I was just going to say I really enjoyed watching you do a session. I thought, as half distance, half in person, and I just really enjoyed it. Gave me a good sense of the overall picture. It was very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting me. What you got, girl? What's the next thing?
cool. I wanted to ask about what you recommend around self-healing now that and I'm making a sweeping assumption here that most of us have finished our 21-day attunement in
Yeah.
Reiki 2.
Yeah.
I'm just curious about what you would recommend, because I found that this last week, I just needed to give myself a break from attuning, and I could feel things in my body changing as I gave myself a break. Like I was like, oh, like my tighter shoulder in my heart chakra, which felt tight my whole attunement, actually feels a lot looser. And like I've been super tired this week. So I'm just curious about what your thoughts are on that.
I highly adore the idea of think of yourself as how we recommend sessions bi-weekly, right? Like if you're doing quick mini sessions on yourself, give yourself some time to acclimate, give yourself some time for that energy to settle. Because think about it, when you're doing Reiki, you're shifting your cellular frequency to a higher frequency, right? So as you're shaking, you're at this higher frequency, you're vibrating. And the next day you're like, oh, I'm going to vibrate some more. I'm going to vibrate some more. And you never really get to like chill and allow that dust of that new beautiful frequency to settle. So I recommend doing it intuitively. When you start to feel like, okay, we're good, I've had my break. I would try your best to do it at least once a week though, because I find when we get out of the practice of doing a self-healing once a week, right? Or make it like, every 4-day nightly routine. Like when I lay in bed at night, I put my hands on my chest and I just allow Reiki healing energy to move through me. Or I do it in the morning, or I do it after my workout, or, make yourself a routine that you stick to for a little bit. One, it'll help you build your relationship with your energy. Two, you'll continue to raise your frequency. And three, you'll get a better idea of when you're ready to share that with other people. and you won't feel so like uncertain too. And you'll also have a better relationship with your guides, your ancestors, all of it. You're going to start to like do this work and be like, oh my gosh, like I was seeing these crazy colors, or I was like, some days you'll feel like, oh my gosh, I feel all my guides, or I saw this shamanic woman, or I saw this eagle, or I saw a unicorn or a fairy. Like, I don't care what it is, like every state of consciousness, the imagery is going to be different. And don't think that one's better than another. It's just the state of consciousness you need to be traveling and experiencing at that point on your journey, right? Even if you don't see anything though, too, maybe you feel like, oh, I feel so much heat, right? And now I feel like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm twisting, or I feel like I'm growing bigger, or I feel like I'm moving really fast up or to the side. The more you experience those things from yourself, the more you're going to realize, wow, I'm really doing this. And you'll be fulfilling that need for validation internally. And that will help you know when it's time to practice on others. But I recommend doing it at least once a week. I think giving yourself a break is a fabulous idea, especially after an attunement. Because think about it, you've been blasting yourself for like 3 weeks straight. So taking some time to kind of rest and not work on other people, not work on yourself is totally fine, which is a great piggyback and entry into my next comment. After going through this 9-week class, I am comfortable giving you all your certifications, regardless if you submit your practices. I know you all are going to practice and do what you're meant to do. And if by rare chance you don't, the only person you're giving a disservice is yourself, your practice, and your clients, right? Do I think that's going to be a problem? No, I think you all have shown that you're very intrigued and very eager to want to practice, to want to do this, to want to explore it. I'm always here if you want to have sessions. Sherry, I'm going to send you an email after class with dates for your free session for the new year. It's just been crazy. But it's probably going to be in January. But I'll email you and we'll just chat back and forth via email about it. Now, when and whenever you're ready, I'm here, right? Take your time. And if any of you want healing sessions, let a girl know I'm here. You know, I'm here. I love to work with you guys. I will send your level 2 attunements this week. I will send your shamanic attunements this week as well, probably too. I'm going to try and do it here in the next little bit because it looks like we are going to get done earlier if you guys don't have other questions. And if you do, that's totally fine. I'm not rushing anybody. Just trying to think of any remaining housekeeping. I will post this recording. I will post a few worksheets on the shamanic stuff here shortly. I'll also post some book recommendations, which is basically what all my shamanic stuff is based off of. So all the worksheets I make are pretty much going to be irrelevant if you get these books and you read through them. It's just 2 books. One's on soul retrieval, one's on shamanic healing. He goes a lot more in depth on his technique. My technique is very intuitive, but they're both very similar. So I just want to give you guys even more resources if you want to continue your journey diving into that shamanic lens. If you decide you do want to become a Reiki master, shoot me a message. I'll gladly help you with that as well. That will probably be a 2 to 3 month program. Just so you have some practice teaching me. We'll talk about how to outline a class, how to build your business as a Reiki master, things like that. But if that's something you want to explore, it's something we can discuss in more depth down the road. I will probably be coming out with a Reiki Master program for 2025 anyway, that is specifically for Reiki Master, Holy Fire, and Karuna Key Reiki Master. So all 3 kinds of Reiki Master. So if it's something you're interested in, you'll see it when it goes live. Shoot me an email then. But if prior to then you want to do it, let a girl know too. I'm around. If you want ongoing mentorship with things like this, that's available. Just message me. I usually just meet with my students. I have most of my, I think I only have 2 graduates that don't have ongoing mentorship, and it's just monthly. It includes the bi-weekly Reiki, and we just tack on a 45-minute mentoring session or an hour mentoring session based on how much mentoring you want. And it's just a monthly continuous thing. So you get your healings, you get your practice, you get your questions. So if that's something you're interested in, or you want to create another kind of program where you just have ongoing healings and mentoring, let a girl know, whether it's 1 healing and 1 mentoring a month too. So lots of options for you guys, but you'll get your certifications here within the next few hours, hopefully. I'm going to try my best, type them all up, get them done, shoot them to you. If you are a client that comes in person at any point and you'd like a printed out certificate, like on nice certificate paper, let me know before I email it to you. and I'll just hold it here for when I see you in person. But if not, I'm going to send them all PDF style. Cool. Any final questions on anything I did today?
We could go to a printer and have them printed out also, right? Once you email them to us, we could take them to a printer and put them on any paper we want, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not as adept at.
Yeah. If you want to do it that way, like for instance, I literally, when I print them on certificate paper, it's just high quality certificate paper. So if you're wanting to do that with a frame built in, if that's what you want, tell me because I will format it so it doesn't have a frame already on it. So when you print it, it could be printed nice on this kind of paper and you can just print it at home. But just
Okay,
let me know because otherwise it's going to have a built-in frame around it. That's what I mean.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it'll be fine.
I'll-
Just send it.
okay.
It'll be fine.
Okay. Okie dokie. Worst comes to worst, take a screenshot, cut the border off. Okay. But okay, is that it? Any other questions?
Our spirit guides, I did that meditation, but I don't know that I really felt like I met my spirit guide.
I think the more we practice with energy healing, the more
Mhm.
we trust in our own like practice of it, that's when our mind starts to open up to trusting that there's someone there helping us with it. Because I ran into that at first and it's common. I've had a lot of students who are like, I don't see my guides, I don't see this, I don't see that. And sometimes be mindful that your guide could be a feeling, it could be an energy. Like are you ever doing healing on yourself and you just feel like immense gratitude? Or you feel like, oh my gosh, like I just feel all of a sudden like safe, or that there's this immense love and like it's the healing, but also like that means that you have supported energies around you helping you to feel that. So whether you can see it or whether you feel it, just know they are there, they are always there. Another great way to do this though is you could even say, like, when I sleep tonight, please allow me to have a dream about my guide. Like, show me. You can ask for messages in your dreams. That's another great way to go about it. Please allow me to see my guide and fully remember the experience in my conscious, awake state. And you might have to do it for a while before you really get it. And that's okay. Because remember, even though we want it right now, spirit might be like, hey, it's not the time, right? It's not this season. This season is for you to learn to trust yourself, not to lean into a guide. Like this season is for you, like, not to be like religious, but like I do go to Bible study. And like we were talking about that the other night. They were talking about like it being the season. And I was like, I could totally see this in like all areas of my life. Like that's how often do I want to meet my guide? I want to meet them now. But is this season for me to meet that guide? Or is it the season for me to meet myself? Is it the season for me to practice this healing? Is it the season for me to trust in this healing? Is it
Yeah.
season for me to know that this is a natural divine gift I have? That yes, my guides are always there, whether I see them or not. But is it time for me to be aware of their presence? Or is it time for me to be aware of my capability? Bam, bam, bam. Interesting thoughts to ponder, right? So, for instance, like when you're manifesting something, right? Like I think I told you guys I was manifesting this apartment. I wanted it so bad for my business. I was like, this is great. It has a downstairs. I do my work there, and I could live upstairs and has all the bedrooms I want. Just didn't work out. I ended up in a townhouse, and I was like, thank the Lord. It has a downstairs I can work in. It has my upstairs. It was the same thing, but literally 5 minutes from my mother, whereas the other one was like 25. And like when I tell her I'm thinking of moving, she's like, you can't move farther away. And so it worked out in the way it was meant to. So, like in that season of my life, I wasn't meant to move far away, right? But maybe in another season, I will move farther away. So, trust that the way it unfolds might look very different than the way that you want it to, but it's working out in your favor always. So, even though you might not see your guides, know that it's unfolding exactly as you need it to for your journey. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if I'm being honest, do I see my guides all the time? I more so feel a presence more than anything. And then my mind attaches what I think that presence would look like. Does that make more sense? Cool. Any other questions? Comments? No?
Maybe just a comment about the guide, Sherry, because I also did the meditation and I felt like what I was hearing didn't make sense. Like I was like, I don't know what this means. And then later in the day, like I think it tells us to like ask your guide what their name is. And like a name I would never have consciously picked came up and I was like, this is weird. Why would that come up? And then later in the day, I started getting synchronicities and it started like connecting, like the name was connecting to like almost a historical figure who has had an experience that is very similar to what I'm doing. And I was like, oh, maybe it was real. Like, maybe it wasn't just nonsense that I was
Yeah.
like making up in my conscious mind and then trying to convince myself. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
just give yourself credit for what comes up naturally, even if you're like, that seems really weird and something I would never consciously, intellectually choose. Because I guess it's not really us choosing, right? It's us like discovering
Yep.
who or what these energies are. Um, yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because I felt the same when I was doing it. And then things started to connect later and I was like, oh,
I see that
okay,
so
thank
much
you.
when I do UHHT sessions and the hypnosis. When people are connecting to source, they come out of it, they're like, was I making that up? Like, how do I know that wasn't my imagination? Like, how do I know that? And that questioning in and of itself shows that it's your subconscious mind, right? When you're like, well, I feel like I was like, I saw a freaking blue dragon in my hypnosis session. And I was like, what is this? Sure enough, I had a client 2 days later gift me a blue dragon keychain and it paralleled and it had like a little charm with a little phrase on it. And it paralleled so much what Spirit said the blue dragon was a message of for me. And I was like, what the heck? And I was like, why did she bring me this blue dragon keychain in this memory box with a dragon on top of it? It was like the weirdest thing. And Spirit is always going to talk to you through numbers, through symbolism, through all of it. So I love that you shared that. Thank you for sharing that because it's so, so true. So, so true. But congratulations, everybody, for making it through 9 weekends with me, myself, and I and my craziness. Congratulations on your certification as Reiki practitioners, shamanic healers. And just know that anywhere you are right now is exactly where you're meant to be. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We can have a one-on-one session, answer them all. And I will be in touch with all of you shortly. And thank you for trusting me with all of this. Big time. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Yeah, thank
lady.
you.
You're
Thank
so
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
welcome.
It was fun.
Good. I
Yeah.
hope so. I hope.
Yeah, it was.
Beautiful. Well, I hope you guys have a fabulous Thanksgiving,
Me
holiday
too.
season, all the things.
Yeah.
And I will shoot you all an email here shortly. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jordan. Thanks,
You're
Nell. Thanks,
welcome.
Sherry.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.